It's time for the Australian Open. The draw is out for the men's and the women's. We're going to be reviewing the men's on this one, and there's a lot to talk about. Djokovic and Alcaraz in the same quarter. Sinner avoids both of them. This should be exciting.
That's right, people. We are ready for our draw reaction. And as JG said in the intro, the big man, Novak Djokovic, down under. And he has been put on the side of the draw of Carlos Alcaraz in the same quarter. We're going to be looking at everybody's quarters, some of the potential routes to the final, and some selected matches from the first rounds, because I can tell you right now, there are some crackers, JG.
Yeah, and I've seen the headlines. I know the main narratives, but I have not looked into the detail at all. So this is my first look at the draws, match by match, round by round. And for those wondering, we will be doing our proper draw preview video later on. Probably not today, but over the next few days. We'll definitely get that one out as soon as possible. This is more just an initial look at the draw to give you some of our thoughts. Make sure to leave your comments. Let us know what you think of the draw. But the first thing to speak about is Djokovic. And I think he has, and people will be surprised to be saying this, because I always say he's got an easy draw. He's got a very tough draw. This is one of the toughest draws I've seen for Novak Djokovic in recent years. I think he's been quite fortunate in some of them, especially the Wimbledon one last year. But this is a tough one. In the same quarter as Carlos Alcaraz. Doesn't make it easy for Alcaraz either, by the way, because he's got some tough players along the way. And if you compare that to what the Sinner quarter looks like, seems a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, especially the way Sinner's been playing in recent months. I mean, we know Djokovic had a little bit of time off. He's not going to be done any favours here in this draw. Normally we think, oh, look, are they helping him out a bit? Definitely not in this one, like you say. Should we have a look at Sinner's one first, go from first quarter all the way through to fourth, or do you want to start with Novak Djokovic's quarter?
I don't mind. I'll let you decide.
All right, let's go. We're going to change it up a little bit because we're talking about Djokovic straight away. Let's get into his section. This is his quarter. This is on the bottom half of the draw, the top part of the bottom half. Obviously, Sasha Zverev is the number 2 seed, and he will be at the foot of the whole draw. And this is Djokovic's. So let me zoom in.
So the big 4 seeds just for the 4 quarters. So we've got Djokovic and Zverev on the bottom.
No, Alcaraz, Zverev on the bottom, and it is Fritz and Sinner on the top.
Of course, Djokovic isn't there yet. That's correct.
Okay, here we go. So if we have a look here, Novak Djokovic, you can see his first round match. He is actually playing the wild card, who's been making a few headlines, which is Nishesh Bassav-Aredi. And he's actually been playing really well at the moment. But is he playing too much tennis coming into the tournament? Or is he just going to be match ready? Let's have a look at some of the seeds that are just in this section.
Just with that name, though, Ben, all I read is Basaishvili. I feel like it's a
he's in it as well.
Basaishvili regen.
He is in the tournament. Basaishvili has made a bit of a comeback. He's stormed it through the qualifying. We'll have a look to see who he's playing as well.
Maybe they'll Cruz, didn't he?
Yep, he did Cruz indeed. Hewitt. That's it, mate. He stopped the party. Stopped the party. It's Leighton Hewitt's son. Obviously got a wild card into the qualifying, but wasn't to be this year. Let's look at the seeds, though, because this is sort of how we judge how difficult it is. Agreed. And you can see there, the Czechs. He's got Opelka, who's he just lost to, is in his section, Novak Djokovic. You can't make that up. I'm sorry.
You couldn't have written this any harder. I've just said on the last episode, and I've said for probably out of a year and now, Thomas Machac, Yuri Lehechka, world-class players. On their day, they're top 10 candidates. I think they're fantastic. People don't realise how good they are. Thomas Machac was strange at the United Cup when he pulled out of that match midway.
Said he was cramping, but I don't know. It's a bit of both.
That was a bit bizarre, and he can be a little bit inconsistent. But we've seen some fantastic performances at Grand Slams. We've seen him play against some top players and do very well. That performance against Alcaraz last year was, I think, very special. Lehechka similarly. Both have really high levels. So, on that basis, Djokovic needs to be worried. You then get down to Grigor Dimitrov, who had his best season on tour last year. Not really a threat for Djokovic, though. And Jack Draper, he's getting to his best ever. And he is another contender for the top 10. We don't know what he's like at the Australian Open, as per se. I don't think he's been necessarily great historically, but was fantastic at the US Open last year. Can he continue that slam form? We'll have to wait and see. But initially, looking at this is really tough.
Yeah, very, very tough. I mean, they are winnable matches, but you have to take into consideration that every year that goes past, you have to think that the distance between Djokovic and the rest has to be closing. And if they're younger, like Jack Draper, it's closing at a more rapid rate, surely. So, look, going down here, Jordan Thompson, somebody who's been doing fantastic over the last year. So this is not a good person
in Australia. He was brilliant last year as well. Horrible
Yep.
player. Quarter, we know what level he's in there. We've not necessarily seen it, but dangerous. And then right at the bottom, of all people, Carlos Alcaraz.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think he needs an introduction.
Terrible draw for him as well, because I know we're saying a terrible draw for
Agreed,
Djokovic. Terrible also for Carlos Alcaraz. Not been
In
good
a
at
way,
Australia.
you could say it's worse for Alcaraz than Djokovic, because Djokovic being a 7th seed, I think you can kind of say, okay, you can get a bad draw. And it's only his fault. He's the 7th seed. If he wanted to have a better draw, he should have been the number 1 or 2 seed. However, Carlos Alcaraz at number 3 seed, this is a tough one. Tough one for him to take, but it's on him. Really, if he didn't slip off last year towards the end and let Zverev in to become number 2, then he would not be having such a tough draw. So I think Alcaraz can only blame himself for this situation he's in. It is tough for a third seed. However, he did play a lot of exhibitions, a lot of events, and I think physically he struggled the back end of the year. Played too much tennis and was nowhere near the levels. If he didn't perform how he did against Botic van der Zandschulp, went for a few rounds there, he wouldn't have been number 3.
Well, yeah, that was his equal worst performance at a slam, the second round exit at the US Open. And, most notably, Australia is his worst slam. His best result was last year, and it was just the quarterfinals. He got knocked out by Sasha Zverev in 4 sets. And he is on the same side of the draw as Sasha Zverev again. Could be a potential semi-final, but unfortunately for him, the big person, the big floater in the whole draw was Novak Djokovic being the number 7 seed, and he has unluckily got him in his quarter. We could have a quarter-final, Alcaraz-Djokovic, but it's not a given because, like we said, this is a tough section as well. Jordan Thompson is no schmuck. Neither is Seb Korda. Jack Draper as well on the hard courts, very dangerous, and Grigor Dimitrov too. So all of these players in here, there are some potential upsets that could happen, and maybe it's a time for some of the new breed to start coming through. We know Thomas Mahatcha's beaten Novak Djokovic before as well. That's someone you should have on your radar. Lehechka just won a tournament. There's some real danger in this section, so I'd like to know. Put in the comment section, who is the biggest danger to Djokovic and Alcaraz in this quarter?
Yeah, agreed. And then on that, let's do this like we always do for every quarter. We'll pick an unseeded player who we like the most, who we think can be dangerous. You can stop right there for mine.
Yeah.
It's Riley Opelka, just beating Djokovic, coming back into form. Could he have a big resurgent season? Why not? It's not easy to beat Djokovic on a hard court. I don't care, even if it's the start of the season. Djokovic usually starts the year quite strong, apart from last year. And on that basis, I'm going to be backing Riley Opelka as an unseeded player to watch. No one will want to play him. With the serve he's got on the hard courts, as long as he's physically okay. I know he pulled out of the final, didn't he? With some injury.
Yeah, wrist injury.
Problem. If his wrist's okay, I don't expect him to go really far, but he's got the ability to knock out some big players early on. One of them could be a Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon with you. There's no point picking another because he is the standout performer in that unseeded players in this section. Shall we move? Let's stick to this second half for now, and then we'll see who
let's
they
do the roots. We'll do the roots for Djokovic and Alcaraz.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
While we're speaking about them, we'll speak about their roots and
Alcaraz
what their projected ones is with the seeds and rankings. So Alcaraz is Shevchenko, then either Nishioka qualifier, Round 3, Thompson, Muller or Borges. Muller, of course, just winning a title. Let's not discount him. Maybe that was another one we could have picked.
True. Yeah.
Draper, Quarter, round 4. Quarterfinals of Djokovic, Dimitrov, Lehechka, Mahac. Semi-finals, Zverev, Ruud, Paul, Humbert. Final, Sinner, Fritz, Medvedev, de Minaur. I mean, final is always going to be ridiculously tough. What I like to look at with these is these first 4 rounds. Because second week, it's to be expected. You're going to see some really big names. Them opening 4 rounds, though, to have Draper inside there is horrible. Draper, we've seen against Carlos Alcaraz, does push him. He does lose, but gets quite close. So, I think it's going to be an exciting match. Maybe one which could go the distance. At the very least, 4 sets, I'd expect. And you never know. Draper could beat Carlos Alcaraz there.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not too hot, that's the only problem that I see for Jack Draper. I know that in the US Open last year, it was probably one of the more cooler conditions they've had, and that was why he probably did a lot better. We'll see how his conditioning is. I'm hoping it's improving every single year. I just hope he gets there, and we can have that matchup against Alcaraz. We'll wait and see. Djokovic's, as we've already said, we've got Bassa, Varedi, Kotov or a qualifier, Mahac or Opelka, Dimitrov or Lehechka for round 4, and then we've got Alcaraz or Draper, say Quarter, Thompson, quarterfinals, Zverev, Ruud, Paul or Humbert for semis, and then Sinner, Fritz, Medvedev, de Minaur as the final.
Yeah, so these first four rounds, maybe why it's more challenging than Alcaraz is because he's going to have a round 3 of Mahac or Opelka and a round 4 of Dimitrov, Lehechka. He'll be hoping for Dimitrov because I think if he gets a Dimitrov round 4, he'll be fine. Lehechka, though, I'm not so sure if he'll be fine. The big challenge for him will be the round 3 match.
Yeah, I think that they're sort of equal.
Whereas Alcaraz, where was his one with Draper? Was that round 4 or round 3?
That's round 4. Yeah.
Yeah, so Djokovic's challenge starts a round earlier than Alcaraz's.
I mean, do you think in round 1 this is going to be too much for is it Nisesh? Do you think it's going to be too much for him?
I think so, yeah. Could easily win the first set in a tie break and then 6-2, 6-1, 6-1.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I've seen that script a few times.
And the qualifier that is actually playing Kotov as well is none other than John Silk's buddy, Jamie Farrier. So maybe it could be him versus Djokovic, and John Silk would love that because he could go away and next time he bumps into him, he'll be asking him all about the Djokovic matchup. But yeah, that's a long way off. I totally agree with you. I feel that there's sort of equal difficulty between round 3 and 4 for Djokovic because Lehechka, I think, so he's just like he's like an ice cold play. He doesn't really care who's down the other end. He would much prefer someone he's played 20 times over and knows how to beat.
Didn't he beat Nadal last year, Lehechka?
Believe so, yeah.
I remember it was just like really like
too clinical.
He wasn't bothered at all by the occasion.
He didn't give him any like freebies, that's for sure. Right, let's move on to Sinner's section. We go to the top, all the way to the top. And Jannik Sinner, the number 1 seed, the reigning, defending Australian Open champion.
Yeah, it was in Madrid then. It was the Masters in Madrid.
I think
7-5,
I remember.
6-4.
Yeah, and it was a bit brutal as well. I remember him.
Yeah.
He didn't really care for any of the Spaniards in the crowd. He just went about his business. Nicholas Jarry, first round. Easy? I think so.
Not easy, but I think for Sinner, it should be okay.
I think so.
But just to confirm where you've gone now. So before, we was looking at the Alcaraz section, which is on the bottom of the draw.
Alcaraz is the top part of the bottom.
Oh, sorry. Alcaraz at the top. Now we're at the bottom of the draw.
Should we go to Zverev next?
That's what I thought we was doing.
That's what I was going to do. Apologies. And then we got sidetracked on all of the routes. Right, let's go to the bottom. Apologies. Here we go. Zverev versus Lucas Pouille, first round. And Zverev, I'm going to say this now, is going to be pretty happy with his draw in this tournament, I think. Looking up this list, you can see then, well, Nick Kyrgios, but I still think the way Zverev is these days, and is Kyrgios fully fit? There's a lot of questions over him. Jacob Fernley's a first-round match for him. I don't think that's even a given. I'm telling you that right now.
He could be going out, Nick Kyrgios, opening round. I wouldn't be that surprised. If Nick Kyrgios is to defeat Fernley comfortably, then I think Zverev's in trouble because he must be at a good level. And that's going to be a really good indicator to see at what level Nick's going to be at.
Agreed.
The narrative we've got to speak about, there's been a lot of memes flying about, is we all wanted to see a Jannik Sinner, Nick Kyrgios matchup. That looks like it's not going to happen now. So Sinner and Kyrgios, opposite sides of the Australian Open draw. So we wanted the big popcorn drama match. I know some people very close to me who would love to watch Jannik Sinner, Nick Kyrgios, but it's not going to happen unless they meet in the final, of course. And if they are to meet in the final, that would be probably on paper the best final we can hope for, I think.
The biggest final ever in recent years, I think.
I think it would be pretty mad.
For a storyline.
I've not seen so much need or animosity between players in recent years as what that one would be. They generally don't like each other. It would be generally exciting with the two styles as well, being in Australia.
See Andy Roddick's.
It's not going to happen, though. Everyone wake up, stop dreaming. It won't happen.
No, I mean,
so looking at the seeds, Arthur Fees, Baez, don't fancy him. Fees, dangerous. Humbert, Paul, two really good hardcourt players, tough.
Yep.
Tabio and Felix, hot and cold. And Rude at the top. He's got a performance in him, especially in slams, but we just don't know.
Yeah.
So looking at this initially, it's not
better.
so bad. I think Tommy Paul or Ugo Humbert, you never know with them two. Like, if they find their best form, Zverev could be in trouble. But I still think Zverev is better than a lot of these. And
yeah,
I will be surprised if Zverev doesn't win this quarter. But a lot is riding on that Nick Kyrgios, Jacob Fernley first round. That is the match to watch from this section.
Yeah, I mean, Zverev been to the semi-finals twice before in Australia. He sort of knows how it's done. I think he'll wipe the court with anybody who's not a big name. And like you say, Nick Kyrgios is the big name. If he gets past Kyrgios, I expect him to clean up this section pretty easily. I don't even really give Humbert and Paul a chance in this one. There's probably going to be some people disagree with me in the comments, but I think Zverev's that much better than everybody else. The serve is so important in Australia, and his serve is one of the best. So let's have a look at some of the other little floating players.
We don't have the qualifiers in this list, do we? That's the only concern.
I can tell you who they are if you give me 2 seconds. So
I'm interested to know who the qualifier versus qualifier is. 114, 115.
114. Let me have a look. See if I've got it on this list that was sent. Can't see it.
Okay, don't worry then.
No worries. Anyway,
but you must be able to see. It's two people who are playing the qualifier. There's only not going to be many of them.
Well, I can't see two red ones against each other. That's what I was looking for here.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I
mean.
mean.
Is it on the next page? No.
I don't know. I think this is the full thing.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. That's fine.
Anyway, let's move back to the actual draw anyway, and we can have a look. There was one actual person that I know had spoken about before who was formerly world number one this year, Hadi Habib. I think he's the first, is it Lebanese player to make it through to a first round of a slam or something, I read. So well done to him. And he's playing Boo in the first round. That's going to be a very interesting one. Hopefully, Habib can keep it going. I mean, he's having a great start to the year. It's a winnable match, I feel, against Boo.
Another meme. It's a meme. It's like one of your scat-off picks. I'm not getting behind Habib.
I just like the name. I mean, don't forget who else is in this section as well. Let's just have a look down this list. We had Fernley. I mean, it's somebody I would love. Even though I want Kyrgios to go through, I don't think he's going to win the whole thing. So I would love to see Fernley do great in this tournament. If he could play Zverev, I would love to see what his level is like against someone like a Sasha Zverev at a slam, because Fernley's ever improving.
I think we're reading the qualify thing wrong. They're not playing each other.
Oh, okay.
Go up again to it, wherever it is.
Yeah.
No, not there, mate. On the actual thing.
Oh, on here. Oh, what do
Where
you mean
you
that
were.
they're not actually next to each other? Oh, okay.
No.
So Umber's
Look,
playing one and Boo's
qualifier's
playing.
playing the umber, and the qualifier is playing
Yeah,
Boo.
if you have a look here, to
Yeah.
the side, you can see. Okay, it makes
The lines were
perfect.
confusing me.
See, you got to read between the lines. No worries. Okay, let's have a look at some of these dangerous floaters. And there's one. I'm going to zoom right in. Kai Nishikori.
Not at all. Not dangerous for me. I don't see him
Oh.
doing very well. I think he's past it now.
It's been to a final.
I would say Struff is a more dangerous floater than Nishikori. And I'd also say Shang is more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, Rude's got a few good youngsters here. I mean, Mensik and Shang.
Rude's going to struggle with some of them unseeded players.
Yeah.
They're not easy. There's some really tough unseeded players there for Rude and Felix to get their teeth into. And I think they could get unstuck.
Yeah, let's move now to the top of the draw. I know I tried to preemptively get there, but we now will look at Yannick Sinner's. This is his section, his quarter, and let's see who are the big seeds in his quarter. We've got a fellow Italian in his top half, which is Flavio Caboli. Hubi Hurkacz, doubles partner of Yannick Sinner many, many times. He's 18th seed, which is normally pretty low for him. I mean, he's normally up there in the top 10, so that's unfortunate for Sinner because he is a very strong player, especially on the hard courts of Australia.
And good friends of Sinner as well.
Yeah, I think Sinner
Doubles
turns
players.
off emotions when he plays Hurkacz, just goes in for the kill. Holger Rune, is he going to make a performance here?
Well, he did say he's hungry this year to put himself in the conversation with Alcaraz and Sinner. I asked him face-to-face with the mic at UTS, and we're speaking about that. Go check out the interview if you've not seen it. But I just don't think he's going to be able to. I didn't say that to him, obviously, but hopefully he's not watching.
Yeah, I mean, somebody who has always done well in Australia, who we haven't really been speaking about in the lead-up, is Stefanos Tsitsipas. We obviously know he's been to the final there. He played Novak Djokovic there. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Yeah, I am.
Watched it a few times.
On repeat.
Fallen asleep and woken up on the TV with it blaring.
That's right.
But yeah, famously beat Rafael Nadal from 2 sets down at the Australian Open as well. Does really well in Australia. Calls it his second home, Australia, Stefanos Tsitsipas. So if he has a good tournament, could Yannick Sinner be worried that he's in his section?
I think Tsitsipas will have a good tournament because he's got a nice draw until you reach Sinner. I think up until the point of Sinner, if you keep going down all the way to the bottom, it's not too bad. I think even Alex de Minaur, as much as de Minaur's fantastic right now and playing the best of his career, Tsitsipas, I think, fancies his chances. I think that is a very even match. And there's no given that de Minaur will be favourite. I think they'll have him as the bookies' favourite. He's been performing better over the past few years, but I don't know. I think that's a real close one, and Tsitsipas could edge him for sure. So Tsitsipas will be pleased with who he's got, and I think if he makes a good run, if he can get to the match against Sinner, he'll be pretty pleased with his performance. I think we'll see him against Sinner, if he is to play him, not put much effort in though. I think it will be a case of, right, I've reached my ceiling, I've got to where I need to go. There'll be a bit of an acceptance of defeat before he started, and most likely will get beaten very comfortably.
I mean, he's been saying off court that he's really looking to turn things around in 2025.
I feel like he said that every year, and that's why I don't buy into it. So for me, that's what's going to happen. It'll be a great achievement if he can get to that Sinner match, and if he does, I expect him to get less than about 7 games.
Leads Sinner on the head-to-head 6-3 and won their last matchup, which was at Monte Carlo last year. And so it is a decent head-to-head, and somebody does know how to beat, but does he know how to beat this Yannick Sinner on a hard court? Not so sure.
In a slam.
Well, yeah, that makes it 10 times harder. Looking there, obviously, one of the biggest names who's floating around outside the seeds is Matteo Berrettini, another Italian in Sinner's section, and he's playing Cam Norrie first round. That's a terrible draw for Norrie. Probably saw that and thought, oh, give me a break. What's going on there? I mean, this section here if you have a little look, it's going to be, so it is sort of in the top half, which is Yannick Sinner's half. So that's not good, because if he starts playing well, you've got Rune in there, you've got Berrettini in there. Who else? You've got Hurkacz. It's tougher than I first thought from first looking.
Yeah, just going back to the other, because on the last quarter, you don't need to bring it up, but we didn't give our unseeded player, and that was Nick Kyrgios for me.
I mean,
so far I've got a Pelka. I think the next one's going to be Kyrgios for sure. I think that big matchup, Kyrgios-Fern, is important, but Kyrgios is going to be obviously the one to watch there. Looking down some of these, we spoke about the seeds, the unseeded players, like you mentioned. I'm really edging towards Berrettini. Berrettini, a few years ago, he only lost in slams to Nadal or Djokovic. He's been injured. I don't think he's lost that many matches in slams. He does rise to the occasion, and there is a great player in there still. On that basis, I think I am very concerned for these players around Berrettini, because he could make a storming effort and get that match against Sinner.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a winnable match for Sinner in my eyes, though. I think that he just doesn't have the tools to be able to beat someone like a Sinner, even though he's done well.
I would agree.
In Australia.
That's why maybe I won't pick him. But if you go down, you're not only giving me a little bit of the section to look at.
Sorry, hiding the others.
So keep going.
Yeah, I mean, down the bottom. I don't
really fancy the others, to be fair. They're not. There's no one really screaming like, yes,
good for
I can do
Dimonor, this though, I think, because he could really build up a head of steam in this little section he's got down here. If he
maybe one of the qualifiers, go up to the qualifiers. Who are they? So we've got a qualifier playing McCabe.
Let me just have a look. So we got
Landaluce. That's a good. I saw that. So Martin Landaluce, the Spanish guy, fantastic player. He's been killing it in the qualifiers. Probably one of my qualifiers to watch out of all of them. I know we've not done that, but I will speak about it maybe on the draw preview. I'll give you my top three. Landaluce, I can confirm. I'm not sure what order yet, but he's in there. And I think he can beat James McCabe, who is Australian, I believe. Someone we've actually met in person as well. And he is someone who, this could be his big tournament. He could make a good little run. But I'm not going to be picking him over the likes of Berrettini. But I thought it would be good just to highlight that one.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's the obvious pick is Berrettini, but to actually go far in this section, I don't think that he will be able to defeat someone like a Sinner. I think if there's going to be a surprise, it will probably come from the bottom section somehow. I don't know who, but Dimonor's got. I know I've put him in my top 5 for the end of the year. This is not bad, the way to start. I mean, if you have a look at some of these, I reckon he could probably get through. I mean, he just needs to get past Butik, and then I think he's hit the ground running. Then I think these other players, even though they're seeded, I think he's better than these. Tsitsipas could be a potential 4th rounder for Alex de Minaur. That could be the big match.
Yeah, I see it as a real 50-50 as well. Let's look at Sinner's draw round by round.
Here we go.
So he's got Jarry, first round, David Daniel, third round, Caboli, Echeverry, 4th round, Rune, Hurkacz, Griekspoor, Berrettini, quarterfinal, Dimonor, Tsitsipas, Charnov, Sarundalo, and so on. We know semi-finals, finals. Yep. The top 4 rounds, like we did for the others, if we compare it, I think the reason it's better than Djokovic and Alcaraz is because Rune's not quite in form and Hurkacz has had an injury and I'm not sure what level he's going to be at. However, it's still quite challenging, that 4th round. You can't say it's that much easier than, say, Alcaraz is, who is just Draper. But then the quarterfinal, he gets to avoid one of the big players. Same with the semis as well. And what I mean by the big players is the ones, maybe not semis because you've got Medvedev in there, but he gets to avoid the Sinner and Djokovic in the quarterfinal, which the other two don't. They've just got that really action-packed quarterfinal, which makes it tough for them. Whereas Sinner, quarterfinal is not as challenging. I think he likes them players. I know Tsitsipas got a leading head-to-head, like you said. Semis will be interesting. Let's see how Medvedev fares. Another one we've not spoke about yet because we've not got to his quarter, but he's not in the top 4, is he? So quite fortunate that he got that draw considering his ranking.
Yeah, well, he's in the Sinner half, which always seems to be the case for Daniil Medvedev. And the one thing I'd say about Sinner's draw, like you were sort of saying there, even though it does look fairly straightforward, he's sort of guaranteed a difficult fourth round. It's sort of like, doesn't matter who you get out of all the players who make it there, that is going to be a difficult match. It's like there's no ifs or buts, because if any of those players have made it there, Rune, Hurkacz, Berrettini, they're going to have won 3 matches and they're going to be in pretty confident form. So tough match, whoever you get in that fourth round. I think if it was Griekspoor, it'd probably be the easier one out of all of them.
Yeah, my expectation with this, and this is why I think Sinner's draw is relatively easy, is because there's some dangerous unseeded players around there. Potentially you could have, I don't think Rune and Hurkacz, they could go out early on, and maybe we're not going to see this projected route. But let's go to the last quarter. So this is the Taylor Fritz quarter.
Wow.
And we've got a return of an American I quite liked. He was suspended from tour, and he is back. Jensen Brooksby. Don't forget the name, because he was very, very, very good not too long ago when he was playing. He was giving all the big boys a run for their money, and he loves the hard court. So I'm not sure what level he's been at. I don't think he's even played. I don't know much about his level at all. I just know there's a player in there. So Fritz cannot take this one lightly.
Yeah, very, very that high quality player, Brooksby, when he was playing. Hopefully he's at some sort of level. I got a feeling Taylor Fritz, the way he's playing at the moment, though. I mean, you saw in the United Cup, he's not missed a beat since the back end of last year. He made the finals of the Tour finals, obviously. Lost to Sinner, doesn't it, twice in the Tour finals, which is just unfortunate. He had to play him. But yeah, I think he's going to be really looking at this. Obviously, he made the Slam final at the US Open as well. He's probably feeling in his best ever state as a tennis player right now, Taylor Fritz. So I think he's going to tidily get rid of Brooksby. This little section he's got here, I think probably the main worry would be Perricard. I'd say above Shelton.
This is the serving masterclass section. Fritz loves a good serve. You've got Perricard, you've got Shelton in there. There's some big servers. I don't know if you're going to go down. Is there any more? Any more?
Chapin?
Rublev, he likes a bit of a serve. And we'll speak about who he's playing with the qualifier in a second. Stan, a bit of the old school. Keep going down. Let's see the seeds. TFO, Poprin, fantastic year last year. And in Australia. And Daniil Medvedev, he likes to serve as well. So these guys can pump a serve down.
Yes.
It's not going to be easy. Medvedev, I think, is not going to want to play Poprin. I think that's a horrible match for Medvedev. I have a feeling we could see Poprin beat him, but wait for the draw preview to see what I pick. And the unseeded players are dangerous. You've got Marizan. I really like Marizan. Same with Wild, who's got a great performance in there. Obviously, one will be going out anyway, but that's a really good first round match. Wawrinka, he is old now. He is getting older, but the experience and class and level and consistency and determination to still be playing tennis means you can't rule him out. And you don't want to play Wawrinka at the Australian Open. We know what he's done here historically. He is a real champion and someone you need to be very wary of. And I'm talking about Rublev, the Musettis, these guys who can be a bit mentally weak at times. Coming up against Wawrinka, who's in form, who's firing, who you know what you're going to get with him. They need to be watch out. They could lose.
Yeah, I mean, he's still performing at a reasonable level, Wawrinka. That's it. And he can turn it on in certain matches. So those early rounds is where he'll be the most dangerous. I think the more the tournament goes on, the more tired he'll become. Unfortunately, Stan, sorry. We're big fans of Stan, but I don't think that he's going to be making a dent in I don't think he's going to win it. Let's put it that way. Looking at some of these others, I mean, should we address the elephant in the room? Because I think that it is the main talking point, which I'm really shocked by how much of a splash this guy has made across the whole of the tennis world. Even in the qualifying, everyone been gathering around his court to watch him play. He sort of has a bit of a superstar effect, and it is none other than JG's wild card for the year, João Fonseca, and he has drawn Andrei Rublev in the first round. What a matchup this is, and it couldn't be sort of better poised, this one. Somebody with fragility in them who didn't have a very good year last year. It has a point to prove, some might say as well. Can he fend off the young, hungry Brazilian? What do you reckon?
João Fonseca is the name. And you said, jokingly, I think the other day, you'll be you was like, oh, would you be pleased if he gets, say, a Tsitsipas or like a Rublev or Rude? I'm not sure if you said Rublev.
No, I didn't say Rublev, but he's in the category.
But it was one of them type of players. He was like, oh, that would be great for them because he gets a name if he can beat them and da-da-da. And I was like, no, I'd rather him just play someone easy. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be Andrei Rublev. But this is kind of what you alluded to. If he can go and beat Rublev, everyone's talking about him. Everyone realises how serious he is. And then I think that will set him up for a fantastic 2025. And I think it's almost nailed on that I'm going to beat you with your learner Tien, who's also not playing. He's playing okay. He has got through. I'll let you speak about him in a second. But Fonseca, for me, is quality. He is a lot better than your guy. And I think he's one for the future who's going to be around. Learner, maybe, but give him a few years. I think this is Fonseca's year right now. 18 years old. 13 consecutive wins, 16 consecutive sets won, top 100 already looming. We're on the 9th of January. We picked him 22nd of December. He was 130 or something in the 140, and he's already trying to get inside the top 100. The target, like I've said to you, is between 20 and 30 for him at the end of the year. If he does that, you have no chance whatsoever. João Fonseca, can he beat Rublev? I think it's going to be a massive ask. But Rublev is going to be quaking in his boots. Not someone you want to play.
Yeah, definitely could have been a better draw for Fonseca as well. But sometimes these things fall into your lap. And if you're playing with this type of form, I think you believe you can do anything. And I think even if you'd have drawn Djokovic first round, Fonseca probably right now thinks he can beat anybody. He has produced in his 3 qualifying matches a bagel in the first one, a bagel in the second one, and a breadstick in the third round of qualifying. He absolutely cruised it, and he hasn't dropped a set for the past, 8 matches. I mean, obviously you can't really include the next gen finals, different format, but yeah, in all of the matches he's won this year, they've all been in straight sets, and he couldn't be in better form coming into a slam. And Andrei Rublev right now is probably, they've seen the memes going around, he's probably thinking, give me a break. I mean, this kid, everyone's going there. He's going to have so much support. I don't think this is going to be Rublev's worst nightmare because he's probably going to be hitting his knee and doing all the other things. If anything starts going against him, I think he will self-destruct in this match. And that is the worst thing. And if he self-destructs, I reckon he could lose in straight sets or something. That's how bad I think this could go for him if Fonseca gets under his skin early.
Something wild as well. If you're 18 years old, you're born in 2006, which is soon to be 2007. This year, we're only at the start of the year. We come to the end of the year, in 2007, people who are born then will be 18 years old. That's mental.
Don't it makes
18
makes me feel
going to
even
the pubs
older.
when they're born at 2007.
It's crazy. I mean, maybe I need to stop going to the pubs.
Just quickly on this topic, stay where you are. 61-62, go down.
Yes.
Ugo Carabelli. He's going to be playing your guy, Lana Tien, who's also got through the qualifying. So we've got them both in. And the big difference is he's a massive favourite. He should be beating Ugo Carabelli. I think they've got him at 1.2, the bookmakers.
Really? Wow.
And I'm not really surprised. He's been so fortunate here. How lucky can you get, Ben? I think beyond that, his next match is quite straightforward as well, isn't it?
Is it? Let me have a look to see.
Scroll to the right. How does it go?
No, let's have a look. So,
no, it's not. It will be potentially Medvedev. It's not. I thought it was going the other way, but it's not.
Oh, that. I mean, probably could beat both of them. I mean,
Listen, one round could be better than mine, which would be really annoying because you get so many points at slams. Even if he gets through a round, it's going to project him miles up through the rankings. But I will be shamelessly supporting the Argentine Camilo Ugo Carabelli.
So, yeah, they seem to have taken out a lot of Argentinians out too in these first rounds. You took out 2 Argentinians in the qualifying. Mine's taken out Fikovic as well. Could another one be on the chopping block in the first round? I sincerely hope so. I mean, he's had his toughest match in the first round of qualifying against
Barrer's
Barrera.
good. I thought Barrera was going to beat him.
I was very worried. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought when I saw the draw, I thought that's possibly one of the worst.
He is good. Your guy is good. I don't know. He's not Fonseca levels.
I mean, I have to agree that he isn't, but I just hope he can produce something magical. I mean, if he was to beat Carabelli in straight sets, like with a breadstick in there or something, I think that the crowd could be enough to will him on against Medvedev. It's a massive ask, obviously, but Medvedev, you got to remember, he's coming into this tournament and he's going to be like having some PTSD at the Australian Open. Don't forget, he's lost 2 finals here from 2 sets to love up. And this is the famous tournament where he's gone away and reconsidered his tennis future each time he's lost. I mean, it's got to be traumatic. Keep coming back to this court.
No, it's not. It's both here. Yeah,
Nadal and Sinner. Yeah, he's been to 3 finals, but 2 of them he was leading by 2 sets to love. The Djokovic one, not so good. But I mean, I think it was his first final, so I'll let him off for that one. But maybe second. But yeah, Medvedev could have some PTSD, and maybe Lerner Tien can come through, and maybe if your guy gets Rublev and gets one Russian, maybe my guy will get the other.
Well, there we go. So let's pick an unseeded player from this section, and I think we'll wrap it up there. So who am I going to go for?
Well, you've got to go for your guy, mate. It has to
I'm
be
not
fun.
Going. I think Fonseca would be the sensible one, but it's just
I think it has to be.
Match, so.
I'm even going to say it from me personally. The way that all of the hype that goes around him, everybody has to be watching him because João Fonseca is the guy.
I'll pick him then. I've been forced. Yeah. Ben's forced my hand. Fonseca is the answer. He's going to beat Rublev. Ben knows it as well. Let's wait to find out if Ben picks it in his bracket, which is going to be coming very soon. So please stay tuned for that. We'll be going round by round, doing all of our picks, announcing who we have winning. But for now, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you are new to Game to Love. We're going to be covering as much of the Australian Open as possible. We're going to be doing daily podcasts, and we're also going to be doing the women's draw reaction as well. So stay tuned on the channel. For those who don't know, we do everything tennis. So we'll be bringing some news videos, some other reactions, and we love to hear from you guys as well. So let us know if you'd like to see us do some live podcasts as well to mix it up. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon.
We'll do indeed. Podcasts every day throughout the tournament. So make sure to stay tuned and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Give us a 5-star review. It helps with the algorithms.
See you guys soon. Let's go, João Fonseca. Let's do it.